pizza-loving turtles, martial arts mayhem, and the secret of the ooze that started it all. We're asking the question, does Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 still kick shell? Or has it mutated into a mess? We're Go Ninja, Go Ninja going to find out if this radical sequel is still worth a watch. Grab a slice of pizza and your nunchucks because we're watching another movie at Grandma's. Hello, please come in. There's some fresh cookies in the cookie jar. There's a pitcher of Kool-Aid on the counter. Have a seat and make yourself comfortable. Welcome to Movies at Grandma's House, where we'd love to revisit our childhood memories of the films we watched growing up to answer the question, does it still hold up? And is it family-friendly enough that even Grandma will approve? I'm your host, Isaac. Go Ninja, go Ninja, go!
And this is Seth. Hey dudes, Cowabunga says it all.
That's right. Welcome, Seth. It's great to see you. What is Grandma putting on for us to watch today?
Today's 1991's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze.
That's right. So this is your proper spoiler warning. We're going to be talking about this film at length, what our memories are, what it was like revisiting today. So if you have not seen this film, consider yourself warned going forward. But before we get into it, while Grandma's messing with the VCR, let's look at the back of the film cover to get some film facts. So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze, was released back on March 22nd, 1991. It had a budget of $25 million. The box office, $78.7 million. Looking around at reviews, IMDb sits at a 6 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes, 36%. Letterboxd has a 2.9 out of 5. Currently, as of this recording, it is not streaming anywhere for free, so you're going to have to rent or buy in order to watch it in your own home. It stars Paige Turco, David Warner, Ernie Reyes Jr., among others. It's in association with New Line Cinema and 20th Century Fox. Last but not least, we got to hear, how does Grandma feel about this one?
So Granny's family-friendly rating for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 is a C+ for violence and adult themes.
Okay, and if you have seen this film and you have memories, we'd love to hear them. So make sure you leave a comment down below what you would rate this film. What are some memories of, again, this is over 35 years coming up on its anniversary. We'd love to hear yours, so be sure to comment down below. Well, let's jump into this and start with our first memory. So Seth, what's your first memories with this film?
So honestly, I remember watching this at an early age, but only a few scenes brought back memories. So
Really?
This was pretty fresh for me. I know I've seen it before, but it was pretty fresh. I haven't seen it in a very long time.
That's interesting. Now, the first one has a lot of people saying, I can remember watching it, lots of memories. So that does make sense, but still surprising. I can recall my first memories. This was kind of the definitive Turtles, as much as the first one people really loved. There's a lot of scenes in this one I think they use for maybe advertising, for marketing. It feels like anyway. And it's interesting, if you look at the release date, this was released a year later. So maybe that's going to be in your fun facts. I'd love to hear something about the production, but that's still kind of fascinating that they did a quick turnaround. They were like, this is hot. We've got to strike while the iron's hot, so to say. And they came out and had this movie. So that's my memories of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Mania. This was kind of the one that got pushed forward more so, at least in my experience overall. But again, this is going on now. Its 35th anniversary. It's going to be re-released in theaters in March of 2026. But still, all these years later, I have to know, what is your expectations when you're going back on the rewatch, or as you were saying, kind of fresh take on watching it?
So really, I was just hoping that this improved on the original. I didn't have too much expectations out of this one. I wanted to keep an open mind and just go fresh and take it as it is. And that's what I did.
Awesome. I was kind of along the same lines as you. I hope this at least is as good as the first. We talked about it, obviously, and reviewed that one. I enjoyed the first one. It has a lot of good moments of hey, this is actually well done. You have the Jim Henson animatron, the puppeteers going on. So I was just hoping that maybe they improved on it or it was as good. And it had, what you want in a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, really. Just have fun. Cowabunga dudes. Let's have some fun. And yeah, just the normal, see what my kids think of it, because they were kind of like, it's okay with the first one. So I was like, maybe they'll like this one better, but we'll find out. Well, before we get into the plot rewind, let's pause just a moment to hear from our sponsors. Hey, love movies as much as we do? Then bring the experience of the theater to your walls with movieposters.com. Whether you're into the classics, the blockbusters, or indie gems, they have something for every single film fanatic. As a listener of our podcast, you can save up to 15% on your order right now. Just use code Grandma's House at checkout. Head to movieposters.com and let's build your ultimate collection today. All right, let's take the VHS out of the cover. Let's put it in the VCR and press play.
The heroes discover what made them who they are. In this nostalgic 90s movie where we can't help but scream, "Go Ninja Go!" we get their origins, and also Shredder is back to terrorize New York. Will the Ninja Turtles be able to save the day, or will it all come crashing down? Find out as we put on this VHS at Grandma's.
So that's it, folks. It is the sequel to the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You just had to be there. 80s is where it started, but 90s, oh man, it literally spilled over. If you were alive during this time, you got to experience what Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was to kids. This was just, it felt like everywhere. Like I brought out advertising. That's what I'm thinking of. So as I'm watching this film, I'm like, I kind of remember this now. Like, yeah, I remember that. It had been a while. I didn't mention that before since I'd watched it many years. But it was coming back. Like all the scenes were coming back. I was starting to remember it. But I'm interested to hear your thoughts. What's kind of your first impressions as you watch this movie?
So the budget was the big thing that I noticed. It seemed to be a little bit higher, which it was. Still not like overly impressed with the costumes. For some reason, it didn't hit me right. And maybe it's the timeline and to me, it doesn't age that great, but that's just my opinion. But I did pick up on a lot of humor, which is what I think carried the movie for this one.
Oh, yeah. I agree with you on that. This one went more on the, I wouldn't say like really wacky zany, but kind of reminded me of a cartoon, like Looney Tunes. So maybe they were trying to go back a little bit more to the cartoon from the 80s, because the first one, we talked about it. It was a little bit dark at times for how much it was targeting the demographic of kids. This one dialed it back. And I noticed especially like the action, it was, I have to say, a little weaker. And maybe that's a good thing for kids, because the first one we were talking about, like it looked real at times. Like, wow, they really went for the action here. I do have to say the action kind of suffered a little bit this time around. There was clearly times where they were like doing a kick and it was like a foot or two away from a Foot Clan's head, and it was just like, okay, you can just roll with it. You just don't nitpick too much. You just kind of like, we're here to have fun. But if you want to nitpick, you could really do it on this one, I feel like, because I agree, like the budget, it does look better. One of my gripes was the first one was it was dark at times. Like it was hard to see. I didn't have that problem this time. Now I'm curious, what was like, you didn't notice that the first one, right? Did you think it was a little more clear this time around?
No, actually, it looked just about the same. Maybe slightly better. Like you could tell the budget was definitely higher for this one. Which is funny. We might talk about this too. Is that, like you said, this is like a year after the first one, so it's amazing how they were able to turn around that quick and come out with this and still, like make it look like it looked a little bit better. So that, that's kind of kudos to them, I should say.
Right. I think that they just, I don't know, it was improved, but it was also like not quite 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. It was off kiltered at times, I guess is the best way to put it. But I do appreciate it looks better. I think it just tells me maybe I need to get a better quality. I watched it on the original DVD, the first edition, the first film when it was really dark. So maybe I just need to go back and watch the first one on a better format, because if it looked like this, I think I'll appreciate the first one more. But getting back to this one, it has an interesting plot because, again, you brought out Shredder is back. and it's diving more into the turtles' history, how they became who they are. So what did you think of the plot overall this time around?
So I like the Ooze side of the plot, but I thought that some of the things were lacking in a large way. And I'm getting that sense from you as well. So I'm kind of curious as to what you're going to say about that.
Yeah, the plot was a little bit recycled in a way. And I know there's some big Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fans out there. Maybe that's just the generic way of it always seems like Raphael has to forget you guys. I'm leaving. That happens in this movie. It's like, okay, let's get our checkbox of things that have to happen in the Turtles. And that's okay. I mean, I like that, but it just felt a little rehashed. And, I'd rather them say, yeah, maybe there's some clashing going on. But the big thing I noticed actually with the plot was this focused more on Donatello than the other Turtles. I think each Turtles had their moments, but it felt like Donatello was almost each turtle. There was times where he steps forward and he's the first to fight. Like the big, I forget what those monsters are called, but they're mutated. Yeah. He's the one that kind of charges forward. Like Leonardo is normally that guy, but he charges forward. And then there's at the very beginning where the place is getting robbed, he's doing like the jokes, like the clown that gets knocked around. I'm like, that feels like a Michelangelo thing, like he would do, but Donatello is doing. Did you catch up on that at all? I just noticed that.
A little bit. Now that you say it, I really do catch on it. Yeah. I feel like, we'll talk about this later, that they dove into the characters more and more with this one, and I can see how they're maybe shifting some of the light on a different character in this one. So that goes along with what you're saying is how I felt about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine. It's just kind of, it felt off. It's like they could have just had Donatello be kind of the focal point, but you don't need to take him out of character because Donatello is more of the smarter one. He can be fun and funny. I'm not saying that, but it was just, it kind of was like, okay, we could have balanced this a little better. I wish they would have done a little better job of balancing it all around because he was, it makes sense, right? It's a secret of the Ooze. The plot is this Ooze is being used by TG, now I'm blanking on it, but the one place.
TGIF? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's what I want to say. I want to say TGIF, but it, they've got this Ooze and they're disposing of it, but Shredder comes back. He's now, the villain again, and he gets the last container of the Ooze. And that's where the Turtles come from, was this Ooze. And so that's kind of the premise of the plot is now they're trying to stop Shredder because he makes a turtle and like what was the other animal? Like, I want to say like a wolf, but that wasn't what it was. It was something else.
It was. I think it was a wolf. Yeah.
Okay. They were like babies. So I thought that was
Yeah.
kind of funny. They're still babies as the mutated form, but that's essentially the plot. I mean, they're just trying to stop Shredder. I mean, you don't need to get complicated with a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles plot, but that's essentially it. And all the while, you get to see Vanilla Ice at the end, go ninja, while they defeat Shredder. So if you're a 90s kid, like that feels so fitting to me. I mean, that might be jumping ahead a little bit. What'd you think of that? The appearance of Vanilla Ice.
Okay, so for its time, it was huge. And it still feels like that's one of the highlights of this film, in my opinion. And it wouldn't be the same without it. So you kind of have to say that. And I kind of liked it to say. I mean, I didn't dislike it.
I'll be honest, I didn't. I mean, Vanilla Ice had one hit song that was just a monster hit, but here it was cashing in on that for sure. I think it's catchy though. It's just a Go Ninja and it's playing into this is a more fun. We can go back to the first one was fun, but it was a little bit on the darker. So what better way than get Vanilla Ice in there, just saying go ninja at the end while they're fighting. And it's doing a good job of just like, hey, this is for kids. We're just having a silly old time. Maybe not as much as the darker that you're used to, but if you can accept that, I think you can have a good time in that way. Now, we kind of touched on the characters. What did you think of the characters this time around? I mean, we're kind of seeing some new faces here, if you catch my drift.
Yeah. So I like the scenes where they were diving into the characters, like I was saying before, maybe a little bit more into their personalities this time. And then that was more like a character centric, I should say, in the sequel, which was nice. And then I love Splinter and love the Turtles. And then Keno was a nice addition, in my opinion. I thought he was fit in really well. What did you think?
Yeah, he reminded me of like other movies. I'm trying to think of other ones like that sidekick that's just kind of there to assist and help. And Casey Jones was like that a little bit, but he was his own, like, I can take care of myself. This one was like, he could help, but he's also that sidekick that gets in trouble too, where they have to save him. It's like Short Brow, or what else am I thinking of? Like other sidekick characters. He kind of reminded me of that. So I agree. He was a good dynamic. I thought it was interesting that April O'Neil was recasted. It was a completely different actress. So it took me actually a few scenes to kind of adjust, like, oh, it's April, but she definitely played it a little bit different. I'm interested to hear what you think of the new casting of April.
Yeah, I felt like she was even more spunkier, maybe, and maybe that's just me. But um, I'm kicking myself because I had a fun fact for this and I didn't write it down. But yeah, they didn't bring her back on purpose for sure.
Man.
It was interesting. I just don't remember exactly what it was. So maybe you should look that up. I would encourage people to look that up. Why she was recasted, but yeah, I liked her. I thought she did a good job, and some of the funnier lines in this movie were delivered by her. So
Yeah. Yeah. I think she did a good job. It just took me, I had to recalibrate or just be used to wait, because I was honestly expecting the other actress. And
I was too.
I want to say you're right. Like that was intentional. It wasn't like she said, no, I've got shooting schedules. I can't, or I don't want to come back. It was the studio. And it was like something she said in the press. I want to say,
yeah.
Like,
Now you're ringing some bells here.
okay. I faintly remember that when you mentioned that. I was like, that's right. There was something in the press that they didn't appreciate.
It was an action sequence. She didn't like it, and she made a big stink about it, and they cut her out of the second one. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
It can happen. There you go. It's happened to other actors, unfortunately, where they say something studio doesn't like, and at the end of the day, they have the final say. So, but it worked. I agree with you. Like, she does a good job. Paige Turco is her name, and she has one of my favorite lines is she's cleaning up stuff, and she's just like, the rat is the cleanest one. So she does have that like spunk to her. I agree with you on that. But yeah, anything else, quotes or anything else to kind of touch on?
I got a few quotes. They're really short, but the one that I really liked went from Splinter was, you have youth and I have experience, but only those who fight now have both. I thought that was a good line. Splinter to me, and I'll get into this, I think was my highlight of the film. But and then the next line I thought was funny. He goes, guys, I just thought of something. 2 words that'll solve our housing problems. Timeshare.
Oh yeah. There's some good lines. Like they wanted to go more comedy. I firmly believe, like you were bringing out before, they were trying to make this more fun for the kids. I mean, there's one part where it's a whole scene going on where they're trying to rescue Raph, because yet again, Raph breaks off and gets captured. I'll go back to that's another plot point. But they're going to rescue him, and they're like, the perimeter's too quiet. Yeah, a little too quiet. And then they take out some of the Foot Clans or whatever. Like, well, that was easy. Yeah, a little too easy. And then they see Raph tied up and everything, and they're like, look, it's Raph. Yeah, a little too Raph.
I love it.
That's your humor. You're going to enjoy those. They're corny, they're silly, but I mean, it does match their Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's how they always are. They're the cowabunga dudes. Come on, like let's have some fun with it. But yeah, there's some good times here. I wouldn't say this is more of their stronger of the films. There's some flaws there, but I did like I was put a note. Shredder, when he becomes mutated, he's pretty cool. Like he has like the things coming out. So
I like how his costume changed when he mutated.
Yeah. Does it make sense? Not really. I mean, Ooze shouldn't change your costume. It should just change you, but I don't care. It looks cool. So
it was.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, yeah, you said there's something else you want to touch on. Feel free. Anything else?
So, I was like, I mentioned, Splinter was really, for me, like the highlight. And he's the master ninja, and the turtles look to him for guidance. But what was interesting was that he's a good fit because he has more experience than the turtles. And his sage advice helps them in many different ways. what I appreciated was how he sits them down and shares his knowledge and wisdom because his experience shows them the way, and he tries not to overact, like overreact when they do crazy things, and that's super helpful to them. And I loved Splinter in this movie. I mean, he had more of a role. I feel like he probably had almost twice the lines as in the first one, and I just thought it was really well done.
Yeah, they captured Splinter really well. His voice, that's a me thing, but his voice is a little bit on the just like, it feels like he couldn't get the words out a little bit. I don't know if that bothers other people, but I feel like you're like waiting on his lines. It's not terrible, but it was just kind of like, I wish they would have done a little better on that. But they captured Splinter otherwise. I mean, this was actually, I forgot to mention, dedicated to Jim Henson because it was released after Jim Henson had died. But I agree with you. There was one scene, it wasn't as good. Overall, I thought it was great. I like the special effects practical. They hold up a little better. But there were times where there was close-ups, like you could see their necks. It looked like cloth and clothing. It wasn't masked as well. So I do agree it wasn't perfect by any stretch. But Splinter as a character as a whole, that's what he should be. He's that mentor, that father figure to them. And that scene that you're talking about, that was a great way to kind of expand on that character. If you're not familiar with Splinter, I mean, everybody knows who Splinter is if you're a fan of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for sure. Okay. Well, you mentioned some fun facts, so I'm really interested. What you got?
All right. So the entrance to the building, April's apartment, was one of the offices of Jim Henson's shop.
Oh,
so that's actually like that's a tribute to him, which I love. Yeah. That's awesome. That's truly awesome. The next one was that only Leonardo and Donatello use their signature weapons during combat in this movie. And I have another one. I'll call back to that.
Awesome. So if you recall in the first one, I was trying to remember if it was the first one or this one. That's probably what I was remembering is they don't even use them.
I've got even more, but I've got another one before that. So the secret of the ooze, and you're going to love this or hate it, was supposed to be that it was created by aliens, but the subplot was cut.
Maybe that could work, but I'm also thinking like 80s, alien sci-fi, how poorly that would age probably. Back then it would be okay, but I'm kind of glad it didn't go that route. Maybe they could have done it right, but yeah, I think that was
with the budget, I'm not sure how they would have made it right, but I kind of like the idea. Like it's a neat concept. I don't know if they could have delivered it well, but it would have been interesting for sure.
Right. I agree with that. Yeah. It would have been interesting.
So the next one is, due to the backlash from parents over the darker and more violent tone of the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, so producers decided to not allow the Turtles to use their weapons for almost the whole film.
Yeah. There you go. See, I thought I remember hearing that, but it was just that like years ago. It was in an article or something. So I was right. I kind of faintly remember that. That's awesome.
And I'll call back to that later. Even not just fun facts. I'll call back to that later, but that's my opinion.
Okay.
All right. So are you ready? It's time for a fun fact trivia question.
I am ready. I'm feeling good. I think I got this.
I think you're going to get this one. So true or false? True or false? Guns N' Roses frontman Axl Rose was late to perform a concert in Tampa, Florida in 1991 due to watching the film.
I don't know why that makes me laugh. Axl, it's someone on his door. Axl, you need to go. Hang on, I'm waiting for him to fight this Ooze guy. I don't know why that's so funny to me. I gotta say true, just for the fact that is hilarious to me. If it's wrong, it's wrong, but I'm gonna say true.
It's true. How could it not be true? I mean
how can I love it.
Good job.
Thank you, good sir. That's great. I love that. That's, I guess, a good way of maybe showing people like how big Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was. These big rock stars were so obsessed with it that they.
I think it's funny because you're like them knocking on the door. So in that fun fact, there was there was a note that I didn't write down because it's too long. They said like his management saw that he was like really into the film and they didn't want to interrupt him. Like he was really immersed in it. And so they just like, well, we'll wait it out. And
You could do that if you're a rock star, I guess, but that's still hilarious. Like,
that's awesome.
what were the fans thinking, man? They would
That's
be
awesome.
Oh,
I'm sorry I'm late. I was watching the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
We're going to dedicate this next song to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Because that's what I was doing before we
Flash
got
breaks
here.
out and Go Ninja Go.
You wonder if he did a cover song of it. Maybe that's why he was getting wrapped up in it. He really liked the music or something. Oh, I love that. I just love it for the thought. You're thinking of that event taking place. That's great. Well, that's a good one.
It's so absurd. It has to be true. Or like, why would I come up with that? Like, how could I come up with that?
Did a great job.
You're right on it. You're right on it.
I was thinking it's got to be true. So if it was made up, it would have been a good one. But nonetheless, I got it right. So I'm feeling great about that. Well, before we get to our reviews, we like to look around the net to see what other people's thoughts are, kind of get an idea. So Seth, what kind of reviews are you seeing out there?
All right. So the first review is from, well, that's what I think anyway, says, nothing as good second time around, but ultimately everything was to be expected. 7 out of 10. I mean, I really butchered that one.
That's all right. That's a great screen name. I'm kind of mad I didn't think of that one. That would be my screen name.
That's what I think anyway.
That would be my name. That might be my favorite, if not my favorite, one of my favorite, because, yeah, I'm a little mad, like, I didn't think of that one. So good comments there. I think if you look at it, maybe we'll see some more reviews out there, but I think a lot of people like the first one better. So that kind of goes along with what I've heard.
So this next one will go along with our first episode. This is on the first movie. So Departed 07 said, too cute to be a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, 6 out of 10.
Too cute. It did, but we talked about it, how the production, there was backlash from parents. So they kind of had to scale it back a little bit. So I guess if you're expecting almost a continuation of the first one in that dark tones, I can get that. You're going to be maybe a little disappointed in that.
And our last one was view_and_review says, sillier, but just as fun, 7 out of 10.
That's a good review. I mean, if you like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I think you're going to have a good time with this one. It's still capturing the characters very well. My thing is, if you're going to answer the question, what is the secret of the ooze? It's oozing nostalgia and 90s. We didn't really talk about it, but at one point, the scientist has a glass of Bart Simpson from The Simpsons, and that just, you see that instantly, and you're like, oh, that's early 90s. I was waiting for an arcade with The Simpsons arcade, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, all that stuff. Man, it was, if you want nostalgia kick from the 90s, this does it for you. Absolutely. Okay, well, let's get to our kid test before we get to our reviews. This is something that Seth mentioned, and I thank him because I do such a terrible job bringing out the thoughts of my children. I have 4 children currently, all boys, but we still like to see if it passes the kid test. So my oldest is about 10 years old. He kind of lost interest in this one. It didn't hold his attention. Yeah, I was a little surprised. It should have things that, he enjoys, like the humor. That's kind of his humor, but I don't know. Maybe he wasn't in the right mood for it at that time, but he just kind of was like, I can take it or leave it. But my 8-year-old, he really enjoyed it. He was into it. And when the credits rolled, he was like, that's a short movie. Like, oh, wow. I wish it was longer. So that tells you he enjoyed it. He was getting immersed into it. He was chuckling and laughing at the one-liners that we talked about. There's kind of some slapstick things that go on. He was chuckling. So he had a good time. I think that's kind of maybe the age range is 8, because my next, he's 6 years old. He seemed to like it, but he was more take it or leave it also. I don't know if it was just some things were maybe going over his head for his age group. So what I was kind of gathering is maybe in that 7 to 8 years old, this is going to be up their alley, at least in my experience. My 3-year-old was just too distracted. He couldn't keep his attention. There's too much going on that you do need to kind of pay attention to understand what's going on. Because to him, he's probably just seeing stuff moving around and, there's turtles and things. So that's kind of the kid test. I would say it passes probably for that age of 7 or 8. Maybe ones that are older can appreciate it too. Just my son at 10 years old didn't seem to care for it though.
Maybe the 8-year-old should have watched it with Axl Rose because they both liked it the same. They were immersed in it.
He had kind of that, like he was really into it. Like you're saying, like Axl got into it. That was kind of how he was. He was paying attention to it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I think, again, each kid's going to be different, but that's just my experience to kind of give a little bit of the kid test. That's the age group that probably is going to enjoy this one. Well, let's get down to it. Let's get our rating, our final say. We're going to start with you, Seth. I'm going to ask you the question. For Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze, how are you going to rate it? Are you going to take it home? Are you going to watch it at Grandma's? Or are you going to hide it in the attic?
All right. So to me, it was too watered down, but the humor kept me in it. So Vanilla Ice was great. So funny. Takes me back. I appreciated less violence, but felt they went maybe just a bit too far in less violence. I'm going to watch this at Grandma's, but hoping not to put this in the rotation. So I'd be okay if it's been a while before I see it again. So I'm trying to say.
That's understandable. Yeah, I'm going to agree with you that this seems a little bit watered down, and I don't have a problem with that. If some cases it works, I do think this was a little bit messy, though. The first one just seemed to click. There was things about it, it wasn't a perfect movie either, but this one definitely took a step back, I would say. This is, now watching them today, I feel like I like this one better than the first one back when it first came out. I don't know if it was just, again, the marketing or whatnot. Maybe that worked on me. But now, coming back to it, it's just so much fun. It's interesting when you get to watch them in order. And like I said, I have 4 kids of my own, so now I'm watching it with a different perspective. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't bash this as like a bad movie. I will say it's the weaker of the two. And if you recall, the first one was a watch it at Grandma's for me, but it was on the edge. So I'm going to respectfully actually hide this one in the attic because, it was a little messy for me. I don't know. There were times I actually lost a little interest in it, and it was those little details of, again, they're going for a kick and they just clearly miss the guy. And it's just, if you can overlook that stuff, I bet it's not a big deal. But for me, there was too much of that. If there's a little bit, it was not going to be an issue. But as I'm watching it, I'm just like, I would love to come back to this in little chunks to get that nostalgia. I brought out the Bart Simpson glass. It's awesome. What more do you want? It's just going to take you back to the early 90s. However, to start the movie and watch it through and through, I don't think I have an interest to come back to this one, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Not going to bash this one. I'm going to respectfully, that's going to be my final rating though. All right. Well, there you go, folks. We got another one in the books. This was so much fun, Seth, to revisit the 90s, get that nostalgia of turtle power. But before we wrap things up, Seth, why don't you tell the good people where they can find and connect with us?
You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at LADX, that's Ladix Media. Email us your thoughts, your comments, suggestions to movies@grandmashouse@gmail.com. We have a wonderful newsletter, so check that out. We are on Patreon, and we're brought to you by movieposters.com, so use code GrandmaHouse at checkout for up to 15% off.
That's it. Yeah, we'd love to hear from you guys. So drop us a line, connect on all those platforms, whichever one you prefer. You can also just shoot us an email, but be sure you're on our newsletter because we love to have giveaways. We currently have one that's once a month from movieposters.com where you can win a free movie poster. It's so much fun. All you got to do is be on the newsletter. It's free. There's no obligation or anything like that. So don't miss out if you have not signed up. The link will be down in the description below. Well, that's going to do it for now, but we will be back to Grandma's soon. So in the meantime, remember to be kind and rewind. We'll see you next time.
Hi, everybody.